Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Daybreak on Trust Television. I am Sunday Michael Ogu.
And I'm Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for joining us.
I was going to ask you, Zainab, before the show commences, that when are we picking up our tickets to London?
Indeed, we need to go see the Queen's corpse.
Interesting. People have been queuing up, lighting up, defiling the rains, the torrid weather, to pay their last respect to the Queen. Old, young, middle-aged, from all professions, everyone, orderly, staying on the queue. As at yesterday, we heard the queues are crossed over 10 miles in length.
Interesting.
Just to spend less than 10, 15 seconds with the body of the Queen as a way of bidding her goodbye to the world, to the great beyond. It's amazing how a leader would inspire that kind of emotion, even in death.
Right.
For people to live whatever they are doing in a system where every hour is money, to stay there 2-3 days, all in a bid to say goodbye to a monarch, one of the longest serving monarchs in the world.
Quite very interesting. Well, I hope that we have leaders like that here that people can do such sacrifices for.
Hopefully.
When their time comes or our time comes.
We now move straight to the headlines this morning. Mahmoud's arrest won't hinder efforts to rescue remaining train victims. This is according to the government.
2023 Tinubu show of 80% vote in Southwest, says Kekemeke.
And moving on, 2 arrested for raping a lady into coma in Lagos.
A sad one there. Now the news in detail. The federal government had said that the arrest of the publisher Desert Herald, Tukumamu, would not hinder efforts to release the victims of the Kaduna train attack. The Minister of Police Affairs, Muhammad Maigari Dingyadi, said this after the NSC meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the council chambers of the presidential villa in Abuja on Thursday. The embattled bandits negotiator was arrested Wednesday, September 7, 2022 in Egypt on the orders of the federal government and brought back to Nigeria, where he was arrested by the DSS. The minister said that there is no cause for alarm since there are other negotiators involved with the kidnappers. 23 victims of the AK-9 train attack are still in captivity. 186 days after the abduction, more than 60 passengers were abducted when terrorists attacked the train conveying them from Abuja to Kaduna. Most of the freed passengers paid 100 million naira ransom, allegedly facilitated by Mamu. Daily Trust gathered that since Mamu's arrest, the remaining train victims have not communicated with their family members.
Moving on, the National Vice Chairman, Southwest of the All Progressive Congress, Mr. Isaac Kekemeke, said the party presidential candidate, Senator Bola Tinubu, would win over 80% of the votes in the region during the 2023 election. Mr. Olani Adegbola, Ondo State Coordinator of the Ashiwaju Group, a support group for the APC flag bearers, said in a statement that Kekemeke gave the assurance when executives of the group visited him in Akure on Wednesday. The APC Southwest leader, who said that President Muhammadu Buhari had always won over 70% of the vote cast in his Northwest zone in previous elections, vowed that Tinubu would do better in the Southwest in next year's presidential poll. He also assured the APC in the Southwest would deliver impressively and urged the various support groups to work assiduously to ensure Tinubu's victory in the 2023 presidential election. He assured that the TAG will come up with a youth-friendly program to reach out to students and other young people to prevent them from going to the opposition.
2 nightclubbers, Solomon Barry and Bright Omega, have been arrested for allegedly raping a 21-year-old dancer to a state of unconsciousness in Lagos. The suspects had allegedly picked the dancer from Ikeja shopping mall to the Ikeja business district, where they took turns raping her. It was learned the suspects drugged the victim before driving her in a Nissan Almera 2017 model to a dark spot within the Ikeja business district, where they took turns raping her. The policeman, who claimed to be among those who arrested the suspect, said they were attracted to the car because it was shaking vigorously when they drove close to where it was parked. Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hudain, while speaking on the issue, said the suspects were arrested by officials of the Rapid Response Squad early Saturday morning. Hiding said the officers who were on patrol caught the suspects in the act around 3:45 a.m. on Saturday. Meanwhile, the commander, RRS CSP Olayinka Egbemi, acting on the instruction of the Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alabi, has transferred the case to the police gender unit, which is specialized in handling such cases.
An unfortunate story there involving a 21-year-old in a club as a dancer. That's something that is difficult to comprehend. And that's the wrap on the news highlight. Moving on to packages this morning. The astronomical hike in air transport fare in the country has forced passengers to turn to road transportation as an alternative, despite worrying security challenges. Some Lagos passengers disclosed that they have no option than to resort to plying the roads as the air tickets are regrettably beyond reach. Trust TV's Abbas Alibi tells us more.
Local airlines in the country have jacked up the cost of domestic flight tickets by almost 100% to 150%, making it too expensive for a low and medium income earners to afford. Muhammad Abubakar Bushari, a frequent air traveler, said Nigerians are seriously disturbed about the hike in the cost of flight tickets.
They complain that they don't have aviation fuel. That is what caused the increase of the price of air ticket. But people, to be frankly, people are seriously disturbed. There are some people, they don't have option whatsoever. They have to, because of the insecurity in the road. There are some, because they don't have the money, they cannot afford to make the payment. They go back to road transportation.
He said government should come up with a safe alternative method of transportation in the country, as roads are not safe.
Government should make all those things as a public-private partnership to ease business activities in the country, so that other investors may come in. But one of the most challenging issues is the issue of insecurity, that is discouraging the investors to come and invest. And I know that these are just a challenge, temporary challenge.
According to the president, Road Transport Employers Associations of Nigeria, Musa Metakobi, the organization is doing everything possible to control the cost of transport for the benefit of the masses. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
Now, meat is one of the major components of food Nigerians consume daily, but citizens do not interrogate how healthy the animals being killed for meat are. Are the Nigerian abattoirs fully sanitized for the processing of meat, and how is the beef transported from abattoirs to various markets? In Katsina, Abdullahi Yamadi attempts to get answers to these questions and many other issues associated with the sources of meat Nigerians eat. His report.
This is how the central abattoir and some slaughter slabs look like in Katsina State. Thousands of animals are brought here, slaughtered, processed, and sold to prospective buyers for consumption in hotels, restaurants, suya joints, and in many residences. Most of the slaughter slabs and abattoirs lack adequate water and other sanitation facilities to ensure cleanliness, which is dangerous to human health. Our major concern at this central abattoir is lack of enough water to wash the entire abattoir before use. In fact, like me now, I have to devise a means of getting water to wash the portion I slaughter animals. Except for the central abattoir and some few slaughter slabs within Katsina metropolis, where sanitary inspectors are seen, other local slaughter slabs, especially in rural areas, are left at the mercy of God.
We have technical staff overseeing the activities in the slaughter slab. Although they are there during the process of slaughtering the animals, they inspect the organ of the animal. After inspection, one butchers finish their work. Our sanitary laborers sanitize the slaughter slab.
The same thing goes to animals inspection officers. though this veterinary doctor assured of antemortem and postmortem inspection of animals in Katsina local government. He also admits inadequate manpower to handle the inspection of the meat people eat.
Animals that are slaughtered in our slaughter slabs within Katsina local government metropolis, actually we can see they are healthy. Most of the time when you visit our slaughter slabs, like you can see in our records, most of what we are recording are either hydatidosis or fasciolosis, or sometimes you will have either liver abscess or lung abscess. In such conditions, what we normally do, we take judgment on such kind of meat that is slaughtered at the slaughter slab.
Similarly, one can hardly pass without putting a question mark on the sanitary condition of abattoirs and slaughter slabs, as well as the way meat is being exposed to flies and dust, especially at its point of sale to the consumer. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Interesting reports there from Katsina, interrogating, what happens behind the scene before you show up in the market to buy those tozos and
They're quite expensive. I don't know why.
and all of that you get. I think it's important that we also take interest in what happens behind the scene, the way the foods we process, we eat are processed, the sources, and that way the people who are involved behind the scene would also understand that they are being monitored. Perhaps
Absolutely.
that will hold them to a higher standard. And ultimately, both the processors and those of us who consume will be sure that what we are getting is the best that is on offer. That's the much we have for you as part of our packages this morning. We'll take a short breather. When we return, the newspaper review comes to you. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a person look like the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Welcome back to Daybreak on Trust Television. We are now going to serve you with the headlines that are making the front pages of the newspaper this morning. And as usual, we will begin with the Daily Trust. And the major headline in the Daily Trust today is staying with happenings in the economy. Here it says inflation surge ravaging economies across Africa as Nigeria rises to 17-year high. Ghana, Malawi, Rwanda struggle with local currencies. Complementary policies needed to boost food production. Experts. You'll find all of these details when you pick up today's Daily Trust and open to page 4. We also have the infographics showing you the devastating effects of this inflation across African economy. And we have that of Nigeria year on year. This time last year, we were somewhere around 23%, and this time it's 20%. So year on year, it appears we are doing better, but nonetheless, every household is feeling the pinch of this surge. And then we have that of Ghana, which appeared to have stayed about the same point, 34.3% as at August last year, and still around 33.9%, just a marginal 0.4% difference. And we have the same thing with Malawi. And in South Africa, we have seen a spike from 9.7% in July last year to about 14.1%. Sorry, we are looking at food inflation and, of course, headline inflation. In Nigeria, the food inflation is doing higher. It's about the same in Ghana. It's higher in Malawi. And the headline inflation is higher in South Africa. Looking at other headlines on today's front page, presidency, Tinubu Atiku kick as Obi leads in NOI polls. You find the details of that on page 25. Dozens killed as ISWAP Boko Haram terrorists clash in Borno. And the third major headline there, we have Nigeria confers citizenship on 286 foreigners. You'll find that on page 24. It appears that, Zainab, as we have more of our young people jacqueline out of the country, we have other people who are also interested in the citizenship of this country. A very interesting dynamic.
Quite interesting to hear such stories.
FG to establish youth banks. You'll find that on page 7. ICPC uncovers 400 billion budget padding, 50 billion ghost workers salary. That's massive. That's massive. This is basically more than what ASU has been asking for to get back to the classroom. Buhari rewards athletes with national honors, 200 million naira. You'll find these details and many more if you pick up today's copy of the Daily Trust.
Okay, let's take a look at some more stories on the Nation newspaper this morning. The lead story on The Nation says, Bode George, why Atiku may lose next year's poll. And the riders there say no justification for IU to remain in office. Tambuwa leads 326-man campaign council. Wike, Makinde, Dokwasi, Imoke listed as members. And you'd find other stories as well on the Nation newspaper this morning. Security Council recommends Nat force ban. Buhari governors Tinubu condole with Akeredolu over mom's death. And on page 5 and page 28 on the Nation newspaper, 14 Brighton, 4 Americans, 268 others get Nigerian citizenship. Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project will create wealth. And so ASU is also in the news. Only concrete packs court can end strike, says ASU chair. Industrial court hears federal government's suit today. Well, these are some of the major stories on The Nation this morning.
Moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning, also towing the line of Daily Trust and staying with the economy. 20.52% inflation, economic crisis, job losses worsen, food prices soar. Nasima worries over rising prices, says companies face tougher times. Inflation spike would throw more Nigerians into poverty, says LCCI, that is the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You'll find also the photograph of the athletes that were hosted by the president's Z. They say that success has many feathers. You know, ministers there smiling and everybody sharing in the glory that were brought by this young and very energetic Nigerian to motherland. They are standing in the photo ops with the president and the Minister of Sports, Sunday Dari, and somewhere behind we have the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Alhaji Lai Muhammad, among other government functionaries. Buhari reward Amusa, Brume, others with honors, 200 million naira. And with other stories there, students block Ife, Ibadan Road, ASU lists pending demands. You find that on page 12. Lagos impounds 4,694 Okada, convicts 1,490 offenders. You find those stories on page 4 and 5. Appointment of Supreme Court justices faulty, says Sands. The details of that you find on page 8. And right above the name marks, we have Nigeria, Morocco begins 5,600 kilometer gas pipeline project. You find the details of that on page 18. FG suspend third headline as aviation crisis persists. And Makinde Udom leads Atiku 326 member campaign team. This is huge. This is really huge. This is indeed a battle of the wits. And just beside the name marks there, we have vote president who won't compromise. This Jonathan advises youth. And we also have here a strip at the top. ICPC uncovers 400 billion fraud in 2021-2022 budget. You find the details of that on page 8. These are the major stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Now, on the Nigerian News Direct, 19.76 trillion naira 2023 appropriation bill. ICPC alleges 400 billion naira padding in 2021-2022 budgets. Uncovers 49.9 billion naira salaries for ghost workers. As Senate probes 1.4 billion earmarked for moribund Neomco. And then you see other stories on the Nigerian News Direct. Identity Day will leverage on traditional institutions to boost grassroots enrollment. This is according to NIMSI. And then you'd find other stories. Dangote Cement, 5 million star prize winners to become cement distributors. 2023, Shetima, Sanwo-Olu, others drum support for Tinubu. And then you'd find the other stories as well. NDP to generate 21 million jobs, lift 35 million people out of poverty by 2025. This is according to President Muhammadu Buhari. And right at the top, NCAA suspends Azman Air over non-remittance of 1.2 billion ticket sales debt. Federal government needs to address unabating drivers of inflation. This is according to the CPPE. Shell confirms CEO Ben Van Beurden stepping down amid 2022 tight supply. These are the major highlights on the Nigerian News Direct.
Moving on to the Blueprint newspaper. And we have here the major headline as Odili Tanko Aboki exits, depletes JSCs from 21 to 13. That is the Judicial Service Commission. CJN Ariwola laments yearning gap, drastic workload. Body of Sands, fault process of appointing judges. Any delay in filling these gaps will spell doom for the judiciary, and that's according to Usman. You'll find these details on page 6. We also have there another set of photographs of the triumphant athletes from the recently concluded global competitions, the 2022 Commonwealth Games at the Presidential Banquet Hall in a reception organized for them by President Muhammadu Buhari, as well as the Minister of Sports. We have there particularly members of the Para-Olympians who have always brought honor to motherland. Other headlines there on the front page of the Blueprint. MDA's padded 2021-2022 budget to 400 billion duplicated projects, and this is according to the ICPC. Tracks 49.9 billion ghost workers' salary from January to June 2022. And reps query Pencom's 2.4 million monthly salary per staffer. Interesting. ASU willing to call off strike if Osadike You want to know what those conditions are, you pick up a copy of the blueprint. And Tambuwal emerges Atiku's campaign DG. Udom chairs PCC, Wike, Sambo, Saraki, others, members. IU continues stay as PDP chair is suicidal. And that is according to Bode George. You'll find the details of this on page 8. Despite hiccups, 95% of Nigerian pilgrims participated in the 2022 Hajj. And this is according to NACOM. They are doing a prognosis, and I'm sure analysts in the House would give us a bit of this detail because he is also an authority when it comes to this. And then moving on to other stories, Nigeria grants citizenship to 286 Americans, Europeans, and others. DMO unveils Nigeria's 720 billion borrowing plans. We are expanding our services beyond Africa. That's according to the UBA Group Managing Director. Justice Ogumbi takes over as PSC, pledges rule of law. And finally, we have thousands queue overnight to pay respect at the Queen's Line in State. Like we said earlier, myself and Z are expecting our tickets so that we can also pay our humble respect to the departing Queen. And these are the major headlines on the front page of Blueprint newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at one more before we go into detailed review of some of the major stories on our dailies this morning. On the first news, 2023 presidency, poll gives better Peter Obi head start over Tinubu Atiku. Predicts LP presidential flag bearer likely winner. Says Obi will win if presidential election was held today. As APC campaign council kicks, declares poll dubious. Then you see the story about only concrete agreement can end strike. This is according to ASU. Court orders INEC to recognize Akpabio as senatorial candidate. Buhari rewards Amusan, Brume, others with national honors 200 million. 2023, Wike appointed into PDP presidential campaign council. Tambuwal named DG. Then Buhari confers Nigerian citizenship on 4 Americans, 14 Brighton Spanish professor, 253 others. You'd also find other stories on First News. Court orders INEC to recognize Akpabio as senatorial candidate. ASWAP sniper, chief prosecutor killed in airstrikes in Borno. Abusive wife beats up police officer in Lagos. That's quite interesting. If you want to read the details of that story, grab a copy of the First News. Governor Abiodun, I may become king after office. These are some of the major highlights on the First News this morning.
Interesting, from governors to senators, from senators to kings, and from kings. It appears that once you get into power, there's no looking back. The reason why everybody wants to get into that small space, you know. These are the major papers we have for you this morning. We will take a short break. When we return, our in-house analysts will be ready to serve you the details on the front page. Please stay with us.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
All right, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daybreak on Trust Television. It's now time for us to have a more detailed review of some of the stories making headway on our dailies this morning. And we have in the studio Nuruddin Abdullah. He is the editor of 21st Century Chronicle to give us more detailed review of some of the stories. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning, thank you.
They are quite very interesting stories on our dailies this morning, but I would like for us to start with the one about Nigeria confers citizenship on 286 foreigners. Here we are trying to run away from our own country, and then some people are aching to be part of our country. What are your thoughts about this?
Okay, I think it is nothing new or surprising, if you put it that way. Excuse me. And I saw so many, since the story broke, I think last week, you know, the federal government announced the conferment of the citizenship last week. The ceremony was done yesterday. Look at the pictures. These people are not strugglers. They are not hustlers, to use the Nigerian parlance. They are well-established people. You can say 70 to 80% of them are well-established people in their various endeavors, you know, various businesses and what have you. It is not one 19-year-old from Kano or from Ibonyi or from Edo crossing the Mediterranean to Italy or so to get citizenship. No. These people have been here for years, for many years. They even have, some of them even, I know one who has gave birth to all his children here in Kaduna, you understand? And he has networks of businesses, legitimate businesses. So that is it. Just look at the H bracket. So it is what many people confuse it with those, some of our brothers and sisters that are going to Europe, you know, to struggle and what if you know, they've been around. And don't even forget, they equally forget. Go to the United States, for instance. Go to the UK. We have Nigerians who have been there, who have been winning elections. A Nigerian won election in DC during the last election season. Absolutely. There are so many. We even have representatives. I know a friend, she was in this house, who won a local election in Scotland. So we're equally doing well. Maybe this is the first time that the team was given prominence. But you know, they are not hustlers like many of Nigerians who are crossing the desert or crossing the Mediterranean for, no. They are well-established people. They are contributed tremendously to the economy of the country. Yes.
Okay. I don't know what Nuruddin Abdullah is saying about hustlers. I don't understand that. I know they're here and they are hustling. However he chooses to categorize them is a matter for another day. We move on to the next issue that seemed to have made quite a number of headlines in quite a number of papers, and that is the issue of inflation ravaging African countries. Nigeria, no exception. We touched a 17-year high yesterday when the figures came out. My only problem is I wonder if you are the right person to discuss inflation, because going by your body size and your outfit, I mean, our viewers will be saying, is he the right person? Does he feel the pain? You know, the way we feel it. But I understand you because I belong in that category. But this inflation seems not to be abating. The figures are getting worse. It's the 7 straight months that we have seen some hikes in Nigeria. The situation in Ghana is terrible. South Africa, it's also exploding in that regards. Costs of living is becoming excruciating. Households, you know, are taking in all kinds of pain. Even in economies like Rwanda, that is being celebrated as a model in Africa. What are your thoughts, and what can we do?
I think minus Nigeria, you know, high cost of living, food inflation, for instance, you know, has been a recurring this month since the start of the Ukraine war. But our own case is different. Yes, our own case is different. And like you know, it's a factor of so many things. Poor economic planning, very poor economic planning. Just yesterday, I think, the DMO has announced borrowing plans running into billions, maybe largely to cushion the effects of the. But another thing is this: while food prices are going above the roofs, you know, other services, what is the CPI, the Consumer Price Index? The per capita. You understand? So that's the case for Nigeria in particular. Look at the exchange rate regime. Majorly, what many analysts are saying, you know, there is money concentrated in the hands of few. Look at our import regime as well. The thing has even created a serious problem, even between the top functionaries of the same administration. The customs CG, who is in charge of, who is the biggest contributor to the federal tilt, I think after NNPC before now, is complaining, say no, the figures being banded by NNPC as our consumption, whatever, it is not true. He needs forensic audit. Look at what the naval chief is saying when NNPC is accusing almost everybody minus itself for the deep in our crude oil production. He said no. And you know, for every layman, what the naval chief said, you know, makes more sense. He said, yeah, you do your budget on 1.8 million barrels per day, but now you're producing less than 1.4. 1.3. And you are saying that oil theft. He said, no. In the first place, you didn't even produce for it to be taken away or something like that. So in our own case, unfortunately, particularly this administration, they have left the economy to go rudderless, or maybe autopilot. It is even, there is not even pilot now. And even the monetary, look at the monetary policy. The chief manager of our currency, our fiscal, you know, you remember until recently, the last 1 or 2 years, you know, he has been engaged on how to become the chief executive of the country. So he has abandoned his primary role. You understand? So all these things add up. Look at insecurity. The major, the cardinal role, the implication is food prices. You must have food prices in crisis. We can't import from Ukraine in the last 6 months, even the wheat and what have you. And can you go to farming in the northeast, northwest, north central? Even in the southwest, southeast, where we had relative stability and peace, you know. Is it unarmed gunmen? Is it ritualists and kidnappers in the southwest, you know? So the situation is becoming out of control. So all these things add up, and our case becomes more peculiar. You understand, compared to Ghana. Ghana in particular, Rwanda you mentioned, they have just joined the league recently, most recently. But we have been into this mess for a very long time, and it seems that nobody cares.
Quite very interesting stories, I must say. Another one that seemed to be on almost all of the papers this morning is the one about ICPC uncovers 400 billion naira budget padding and about 50 billion ghost workers' salaries. Is this something new, or it has been?
What is new is the ghost workers. You know, because there are so many perspectives to what they call budget padding. You remember Dogara, and now this former lawmaker, what's his name? Abdulmumin Jibril thing, you know. What they call budget padding, you know, is not something illegal. Maybe it's new to many electorate here. because they believe that the president or the governor, is the alpha and omega. My concern actually should be about the ghost workers. IPPIS, right?
IPs.
Yeah, IPs has been there for a very long time, but you still have ghost workers. So what's the problem? I remember some years back, in 2019, to be precise, in this house, we did a story. The way IPs has been formed, is to take care of these ghost workers. The moment you reach your retirement age, it throws you out. That is it. But I remember at that time, a head of an agency changed her date of birth. In the civil service, you have the open and the secret file, There is a file that belongs to the owner that you can't change anything, your entry, credentials and what have you. But she had access to it because I think she was the head, she was the director, personnel and what have you. She changed it. But she got caught up when she went to immigration to change her passport, to renew her passport. Part of the thing she did was to change her date of birth. You can change everything, but minus your date of birth. You're born January 6, 1960. You can't bring it forward January 6, 1965 or so. Then they queried it. They said, no, you can change anything. You can change your professional address, but you can't change your date of birth. So that was the beginning. Then they took it up. We did a story. So, but we asked, IPs should have taken care of that. The moment you reach the retirement age, 60 years or 35 years, or which one comes first, it throws you out. You stop getting salary and what have you. And again, with the revelations before even this, the revelations by EFCC, in EFCC versus the immediate past Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmad Idris, they said that the man has even allegedly compromised the IPs. They said that he was allegedly stealing money from IPs. So it's a big problem. We are even compromising the technology. So we don't know who is now eating from Remita, who is now eating from TSA. So it's a very big problem. But that budget padding, the National Assembly members have the right to add, to subtract, or to change, or to altogether obliterate any part of the budget sent by Mr. President. Unfortunately, again, in other countries, budgets are being implemented 101%, to use that one. But here, who is padding who? When you want to do some project, let's say in Mr. Sunday's, let's say no, but Mr. Sunday is not the only Nigerian we have. Haji Azan is here. Nuruddin is here. Share this 20 billion among these three constituents. And you call it budget padding. Okay, how many have been arrested or prosecuted so far?
Interesting. Interesting perspective there. I hope someday that these systems will be able to see these ghosts. We understand that they're elusive, but I hope there is something we can do about the system so that it can pick out this ghost and completely clean up this copy. Another very interesting story on most of the front pages today would be the alarm that is being raised by the GSC, the depletion of the GSC from 21 to 13, following the retirement of Odili, Tanko, and Aboki. Is this not a genuine concern? What's this? Why is it taking forever to have these justices replaced, considering the number of cases that are waiting for the judiciary to resolve?
So I don't know why there should be that alarm. It has to do with the political leadership. The NGC is responsible for the appointment of these senior judges. And, the judiciary, particularly the bench, is regimented. If you go to the Court of Appeal now, in fact, they call people by their numbers.
Interesting.
Yes.
Number 1.
Number 7, number 8, number this. So it's a no. The promotion. Now there are vacancies. It simply means there are judges at the Court of Appeal. There are 120 of them across the branches of the appellate court in Nigeria. And they have their numbers. We all know the three that will move there. Even though it's a factor of the vacancy is there. What do you call it? That's what we call, it has to do with the state. If, for instance, now you are from your state, now there are about 3 or so, then a junior has to move, you understand? Exactly. So that's that. So it's a very simple, seamless movement. But, you know, sometimes...
Yeah, but the senior science are saying that that process of recruitment sort of robs the Supreme Court of some of the finest minds that we have on account of somebody from your jurisdiction. They just felt that depending on your number, you should just accept that hierarchy automatically. What do you think?
I don't think that they are correct. You know, there has been concern, there has been agitations for appointment, particularly to the appellate court, from the bar. Not long ago, and even some nominations were met, but it has never been implemented. It is unlike the United States, for instance. The president can appoint anyone. But here, the judiciary has a system dating back to independence. And I think that system shouldn't be jettisoned now. Because when you bring it now, it will bring political patronage. It's just like the military. It's just like particularly the military, the police, and some of the paramilitary institutions. During the IBB's time, when IBB appointed Adamu Atta as the Inspector General of Police, do you know how many senior officers were thrown out? More than 21. Because he was far, far junior. That is why it's a military. And you know, again, you spend money to train these people. You just don't throw them away. That's why there's that hierarchy.
So how then do we take care of the concerns of competence? Should there have been a level where people who cannot become IG should not have crossed as a threshold, so that everybody who is sieved into that category is a potential?
I don't know whether the SANs are saying that the judges at the Court of Appeal are incompetent. At least from the law school, you join the bench, for instance, to rise to a justice of the Court of Appeal, and somebody to call you incompetent. I don't think that's right. They want jettisoning the current system will bring all manner of things. Politicians will misuse it. It is not like the state where there are institutions. Now maybe somebody will pack up the place with the people from his village, or from his ethnic group, or friends and families, for example. But now there is a system, and you can't rise in the ladder without being competent. You understand? The NJC is there. They hire, they promote, they discipline. If there is need for somebody to be sacked, even if it's a Court of Appeal judge or even a Supreme Court judge, the NJC is there. They have their rules. So you don't need to bring another confusion again. They will make it like ministerial or governorship appointment.
Quite very interesting. I'm really interested to hear more about the National Hajj Commission saying 95% of Nigerians participated in this year's Hajj, despite the hiccup that came with it.
Yes. What is the total allocation to Nigeria? Before COVID, our allocation was 95,000. Right?
About 50,000, yeah, there are 45 thereabout.
45. And roughly, according to them, they say 95. You know, simply a factor of they are admitting their incompetence. Imagine if we have that 95,000. We have less than 45,000. And for the first time in more than 10 years, some people were left at the airport. For the first time in more than 10 years, pilgrims potential pilgrims have to embark on demonstration. For the first time in more than 10 years, pilgrims spend more than 6-7 days at the Hajj camps. For the first time in more than 10 years, Hajj seat racketeering.
It's horrible.
You understand? So what are we talking about? Less than 45,000. We used to have 95,000. Their argument is they were given short notice. That is very ridiculous. Ridiculous. In the past, Hajj preparation started during Ramadan. It wasn't any different this year. Okay, if they said they were not the Saudi authorities, they were blaming everything. They are putting all the blames on those of the Saudi authorities. Did not look at other countries. Did you hear of any protest in Ghana, in Niger, Chad, Mali? Or did you hear any protests across the 10 big countries? I'm talking about Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Egypt. We are the only one. So I don't know. And unfortunately, people bring their naivety, clannishness into the system. And that's why they took us this back. Okay. The same management of the Hajj Commission, introduced the Hajj saving schemes. How many people that invested money in that Hajj saving scheme in the last 3 years went to Hajj? Whose fault is that?
Interesting. We're running out of time, but not until we get one more thought from you, this time from the political realm, which we have avoided deliberately so that other issues can have a look in. And that would be on the article on the PDP unveiling a presidential campaign council of over 300 persons. What do you make of that size of a presidential campaign? It appears like the die is cast.
Yes.
And by the way, Wike is part of that committee.
Yeah, no, definitely. Inclusivity. That's the word. And the number is not anything outrageous. It has been like that.
Okay.
Maybe when this is even the opposition party, by the time APC brings its on, maybe within the week, by next week, because I think the deadline is end of September.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a deadline, I think 27 or so, to unveil the presidential campaign council. You have to bring everybody on board. And like I said last week, I think the PDP, after the NEC meeting that endorsed IU's leadership, I said the PDP has moved on. They can't be dragged down by Wiki. You understand? So now the choices are clear for him. Either remains with the party, or he jumps to APC or PDP. But don't forget, he is not a candidate in the election, but he has a candidate as governor, deputy governor, Senator Motifi. So if he moves, let's say, to PDP, to APC, or a Labour Party, or even AFGA, what happened to his honor? Even his lieutenants, take Autumn for instance. Autumn is going for Senate, Ikeazu is going for Senate. The most interesting part of it is Makinde for you. Autumn is not going for second term. Dito, Ikeazu, and Wike. But Makinde has a battle ahead of him. He's seeking for second re-election. So if he wastes his time with the Wike group, then he has a problem. And don't forget, presidential election takes place first before the governorship.
That's right.
Ikeazu as a senator, Autumn as a senator. Will they fold their arms and allow the APC to win? Okay, maybe the people will come. Presidential candidate, APC, Benue South, PDP? No. With the INEC timetable, this INEC electoral act is shaping a lot of things. You understand? You have to just be straight. The substitution of candidates, unless now by death, the doors have been closed. So you have to just make do with the
what you have.
Well, yeah.
interesting conversations there with guests who I'm sure the last time Ibrahim said he will become a member of what do you call it, an anchor extraordinaire. We've been talking to Nuruddin Abdallah, the editor 21st Century Chronicle, who has given us very interesting perspective on the issues that have made the front pages this morning. We thank you for making it to the studio this morning. We hope to see you next time.
Thank you.
This is where we draw the curtain on the newspaper review. We will take a short breather and return at the top of the hour to serve you more interesting packages. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a person look like the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak. I am Zainab Bala.
I am Sunday Michael Ogo. It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning.
Our headlines for you this morning. Nigerians released from UAE prisons blackmailing U.S. federal government.
We withheld Asman's air licenses over 1.2 billion debt. That's the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority.
Buhari rewards Tobia Musa, others with national honors, 200 million.
Now the news and details. Chairman Nigeria in the Diaspora Commission, NITCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, has said over 100 Nigerians released from the prisons in the United Arab Emirates have resorted to blackmail against the federal government. Dabiri Erewa warned the ex-convicts and other Nigerians who illegally traveled to the UAE and are stranded there not to make an already bad case worse by resorting to media blackmail. Spokesperson of NICOM, Chairman Abdurrahman Balogun, said this while responding to a post on social media blog that 300 Nigerians abandoned in Dubai as NICOM, NATIP, Foreign Affairs, relaxed evacuation efforts on Thursday. He said despite several warnings by the federal government of Nigeria through its relevant agencies on consequences of illegal migration to the UAE and other countries, it was regrettable that some Nigerians still found themselves as victims of this irregular act.
The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has given an insight into the suspension of Asman Air's operations. Director General of NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu, confirmed that it was withholding the air transport license of the airline until it provides the required documentation for the renewal of its operational licenses and put forward a payment plan on its 1.2 billion naira debt. Daily Trust reports that the airline had been forced to suspend operations over the non-renewal of its operating licenses. The ATL is one of the certifications an airline must have and regularly renew before it can operate. This is coming a few weeks after the NCAA threatened to sanction the airline over huge indebtedness of over 42 billion naira and $7.8 million accruing from the ticket sale charge and cargo sale charge. A source in Asman Air, however, told Daily Trust on the condition of anonymity that the airline is making efforts to settle the issue with the NCAA. There are indications that more airlines might be affected in a few days to come over the issue of indebtedness, which the NCAA has committed to aggressively pursue.
And in other news, President Muhammad Buhari has okayed national honors and cash awards of 200 million naira for Team Nigeria's contingent to the 2022 Commonwealth Games and World Athletic Championship. The president announced this on Thursday in Abuja while speaking at the presidential reception in honor of the athletes. Buhari said the government was committed to rewarding excellence, no less for members of the Team Nigeria who ignited the spirit of victory in the nation through stellar performances at the international competitions. The president, who congratulated all awardees and recipients, expressed confidence that this will spur them to greater heights. The president told the athletes that their honor of sporting glory beamed the radar of the world on Nigeria, adding that their exploits have gone a long way in projecting the positive image of the country.
In other news, the astronomical hike in air transport fare in the country has forced passengers to turn to road transportation as an alternative despite the worrying security challenge. Some Lagos passengers disclosed that they have no option than to resort to plying roads as the air ticket is regrettably beyond reach. Trust TV's Abbas Dalibi tells us more.
Local airlines in the country have jacked up the cost of domestic flight tickets by almost 100% to 150%, making it too expensive for a low and medium income earners to afford. Muhammad Abubakar Bushari, a frequent air traveler, said Nigerians are seriously disturbed about the hike in the cost of flight tickets.
They complain that they don't have aviation fuel. That is what caused the increase of the price of air ticket. But people, to be frankly, people are seriously disturbed. There are some people, they don't have option whatsoever. They have to, because of the insecurity in the road. There are some, because they don't have the money, they cannot afford to make the payment. They go back to road transportation.
He said government should come up with a safe alternative method of transportation in the country as roads are not safe.
Government should make all those things as a public-private partnership to ease business activities in the country so that other investors may come in. But one of the most challenging issues is the issue of insecurity that is discouraging the investors to come and invest. And I know that these are just a challenge, temporary challenge.
According to the president, Road Transport Employers Associations of Nigeria, Musa Metakobi, the organization is doing everything possible to control the cost of transport for the benefit of the masses. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
Interesting reports there from Abbas Alibi from Lagos. And moving on, the incessant attack on farming communities by bandits and the cost of farming inputs may take a toll on farmers in Nigeria. Farmers in Benue State, who are known for mass agricultural production, are grappling with these challenges coupled with the hike in the price of fertilizer and other farm inputs. The report.
The farmers decried over lack of fertilizer subsidy this farming season, which they said would definitely affect farm produce.
They will talk about government subsidizing fertilizer. Now, you will not even see a bag of fertilizer. Today, a bag of urea of fertilizer goes to 20,000. NPK is 14,000. How many farmers can afford that? The aim is even defeated. People are living from hand to mouth.
Agriculturist and consultant called on farmers not to depend on government all the time. He urged them to learn to save for the farming season from their harvest.
I would never really say they are doing anything anyway, and I wouldn't tell people to depend on the government for anything, because if they do, they are on their own actually. Yeah, so I would prefer that they serve what they have. The government cannot be the end of everything for us as farmers in Benue State. Without the government, we still farm, you know. So we can always leverage on the things we have available at our localities to do to conduct our farming. Money may not come from salaries or from any other way it may come, but like I mentioned, if you have to reserve some things, some of the yield you did last year, you can get good money. For now, the government has tried in the way of saying that people should go back to farm.
Director Benue State Ministry of Agriculture said Benue is lucky to have a fertile land. He said farmers should make the best use of their land to harvest what they can.
Some of them are doing too well. The ones that come in, our problem is change of attitudes. You know, most of these our boys. Some fee agriculture, all these things they say we want government to come and give that very young man that is complaining 1 million. The next 2 days, call him. He's in Lagos or Abuja. The money finish. You won't see him here. They look at agriculture as an occupation for countryside people, not knowing that agriculture is business now.
With insecurity in Benue State and the cost of farming inputs, farmers in Makurdi are skeptical about the state being able to take its rightful stand as the food basket of the nation.
Meat is one of the major components of food Nigerians consume daily, but citizens do not interrogate how healthy the animals being killed for meat are. Are the Nigerian abattoirs fully sanitized for the processing of meat, and how is the beef transported to various markets? In Katsina, Abdullahi Yamadi attempts to get answers to these questions and many other issues associated with the sources of meat Nigerians eat. His report.
This is how the central abattoir and some slaughter slabs look like in Katsina State. Thousands of animals are brought here, slaughtered, processed, and sold to prospective buyers for consumption in hotels, restaurants, suya joints, and in many residences. Most of the slaughter slabs and abattoirs lack adequate water and other sanitation facilities to ensure cleanliness, which is dangerous to human health. Our major concern at this central abattoir is lack of enough water to wash the entire abattoir before use. In fact, like me now, I have to devise a means of getting water to wash the portion I slaughter animals. Except for the central abattoir and some few slaughter slabs within Katsina metropolis, where sanitary inspectors are seen, other local slaughter slabs, especially in rural areas, are left at the mercy of God.
We have technical staff overseeing the activities in the slaughter slab. All those are there during the process of slaughtering the animals. They inspect the organ of the animal. After inspection, one butchers finish their work. Our sanitary laborers sanitize the slaughter slab.
The same thing goes to animals inspection officers. Though this veterinary doctor assured of antemortem and postmortem inspection of animals in Katsina local government, he also admits inadequate manpower to handle the inspection of the meat people eat.
The animals that are slaughtered in our slaughter slabs within Katsina local government metropolis, actually we can see they are healthy. Most of the time when you visit our slaughter slabs, like you can see in our records, most of what we are recording are either hydatidosis or fasciolosis, or sometimes you will have either liver abscess or lung abscess. In such conditions, what we normally do, we take judgment on such kind of meat that is slaughtered at the slaughter slab.
Similarly, one can hardly pass without putting a question mark on the sanitary condition of abattoirs and slaughter slabs, as well as the way meat is being exposed to flies and dust, especially at its point of sale to the consumer. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And that's a wrap on our news packages this morning. We'll take a short break. When we return, we will delve straight into our conversations for this morning. Please stay with us.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Documenting the Nigerian story.
The issue we're about to jump into is one that generates a lot of emotion. At some point, some stakeholders describe it as an emotional commodity because it has its impact cuts across just about every facet of the Nigerian life. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited insisted that the country consumes 68 million liters of petrol daily. NNPC Limited, in a statement by its Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Garbadin Mohammed, said it imported a total volume of 16.46 billion liters of petroleum into the country between January and August 2022. This, the company said, translated to an average supply of 68 million liters per day. It said the combination of various present cost elements has translated to a retail pump price of 462 naira per liter, adding that the subsidy payment of 297 naira is to make the product affordable for the country. The response came days after the Nigeria Customs Service questioned NNPC's claim that the country consumes 60 million liters of petrol per day. We now have with us in the studio to discuss this the Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Alhaji Abubakar Megandi. And we are expecting to join us also virtually Alhaji Kailani Muhammad, who is an energy expert. Good morning, Alhaji Megandi.
Yeah, good morning.
It's a pleasure to see you in the studio again.
Yes, thank you very much.
Petroleum subsidy, petroleum, what do you call it now? Daily consumption of petroleum. We hear all these numbers every day, you know, very, very huge numbers, if you like. And Nigerians are finding it difficult to understand how these numbers are arrived at. You are a professional, you are a major stakeholder who plays in the value chain of the petroleum industry. What is your take on this claim and counterclaim by the NNPC and other agencies of government that we consume over 60 million liters of petrol per day?
Okay, good morning, viewers. Well, in fact, the rate of consumption is the only NNPC today is the sole importer of this petroleum product. And that is the reason why always we have been shouting day and night. We said, let NNPC allow marketers to become closer so that they can witness the actual numbers of liters being imported. But it's the only NNPC now today can import petroleum products, and they are the only people who can mention the quantity they imported. So actually we cannot justify whether it is true or it's not true. But all what we know, if they imported this product, We send our marketers to various depots, we load.
But it seems like that at the moment, I saw in the news, even in Lagos currently, people are finding it difficult to even access fuel in filling stations. What is really going on? I thought we've moved past, that scarcity.
Yes, actually before there are scarcity, but now if you check most of our filling stations, we have availability of this commodity. So there is no scarcity now at present.
But from what your members see, if we have 60 million liters in a day, we should see it, you should be able to attest to that in terms of the volumes that your members, take out of this depot. Can you ascertain that we bring in that volume amount of volume of petroleum product into this country daily?
Well, normally, just like what I have said, it's only NNPC can determine the quantity because they are the importer and they are the people who used to distribute this product to the various marketers.
But what I'm saying, Alaji, is does your association have a record at least of the volume of fuels that you take from the NNPC on a daily basis across the country?
Yes, we have the record of our marketers.
Okay.
Yes, the record normally is about 30 million liters and above.
Okay.
Yes, independent petroleum marketers. But we have independent petroleum marketers, we have MOMAN, that is major marketers, and then we have DAPMAN. So all those people are marketers. We share the product together. But we independent marketers, we consume on daily basis more than 30 million liters. I don't know of the rest.
Well, is there like a move or maybe a negotiations to, just as you've said earlier, to bring the petroleum marketers closer, to the NNPC, and just to be able to take off some of this burden and, make fuel available to everyone?
Yes, as of now, I think now there is availability of the product. The only thing what we can complain, nowhere this product can be sold at the rate of 165. But generally, all over the country now there is availability. So we doesn't have issue of the fuel is not available again now.
The conversation around how much this country spends on subsidy per liter. Today, they are saying the prices would hit about 426, and that the government subsidizes around 270 naira per liter. In your own opinion, is there something the government can do to bring down the amount of money we spend on this subsidy? Why is it impossible for major marketers and the rest to also bring in fuel into the country?
I think you have already answered everything. The government should allow the whole marketers to participate in bringing this fuel. It is true that the government can be able to determine this what NNPC has been saying, is this true or not? Because even we marketers, sometimes when they mention a figure, we just think about it. How can we consume 68 million liters? But when they said it's only one government authority can be able to participate into business. And this business that they are participating, the other stakeholders are not aware. So they can buy that commodity at any rate and mention any rate. So there is need of a full sincerity in all what they have been doing. And then the other way, which we think will be the best, instead the government should fully depend on importing this product. Let them rehabilitate our Nigerian refineries. Just like now, as I heard, maybe very soon they say Port Harcourt refinery will pick up. I know if Port Harcourt refinery pick up, definitely there will be reduction of the subsidy rate.
But even if Port Harcourt picks up and we have the amount of theft, that is inherent to the system. Would that be able to make any impact? And I'm saying this because when the NNPC group general managing director spoke, he also accused various people of adding to this problem, including, he said, distributors like your own who divert this petroleum to other countries where they sell at higher prices. How would you respond to that?
You know, when you have already said acquisition, but believe me, independent petroleum marketers, there is no way they will divert the product because they have their filling stations. We almost control, almost getting to 85% of Nigerian retail outlets. That is the reason why I tell you, I say we consume 30 point something million liters. And a person that has a retail outlet of almost 85%, he consumes 30 something million liters. Then the other remaining 15%, it will go on Moman and Darkman. So maybe unless if there are the people who are consuming 38 million liters. So that is the issue. But we independent marketers, there is no way a marketer will participate in diverting fuel. Because in a month, some of the marketers, they load only 2 to 3 trucks for their retail outlets.
If you load 2 to 3 trucks in a month, how then are you able to evacuate 30 million liters on a daily basis?
So I mean, some of the marketers, not all.
Okay.
You know, you may find a marketer that has more than 100 filling stations.
Okay.
There are some 200 filling stations. So that is how when we accumulate, you can see we can reach that figure.
Interesting.
We will take a short break now. When we return, this conversation continue. Please stay with us.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Welcome back. It's Daybreak on Trust Television, and we have been discussing the Nigeria daily fuel consumption. And we have here in the studio the Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Alhaji Abubakar Megandi, who has been giving us perspective from the point of IPMAN. We have been expecting to join us virtually Alhaji Kelaini Muhammad, who is an energy expert, but that process has proved abortive thus far. Our technical people would continue to make effort to see if we could get him on the show to also provide us more perspectives on how Nigeria as a country can rein in this inconsistency and stop the bleeding that is purportedly associated with these phantom figures that seem to be thrown around by just about every government agency in Nigeria. Alhaji Megandi, before we left, we were discussing, how there seemed to be a lot of inconsistency. If your own body that account for about 85% of the filling stations in Nigeria and offtake, does about 30 million, how we can justify another 30 million for the other two bodies, Dapman and the other marketers who take another 30 million. So the question really now is, apart from drawing you closer, what in your honest opinion you think we can do, to check these contradictory figures that are coming from government? Because at the end of the day, the money that the government spends on subsidy also affects IPMAN as citizens of this country, because these are money that should have been available for spending either in healthcare or in road construction that your members greatly need to be able to drive smoothly from the point of loading in Lagos to the various parts of the country. What is your association proposing as a way of checking these multiple figures that are being bandied around by government agencies?
Well, what I will advise, first of all, let there be sincerity in dealings. And if at all they wanted to do justification, let them bring all stakeholders on board in terms of importation of these petroleum products, at the same time in terms of distributing. Because when they bring everybody together, we marketers, we are going to stay and make sure that to know the exact figure that they normally used to import, then the exact figure totally that they normally used to distribute. Because if there is no sincerity, definitely any figure can be mentioned.
So are you saying that when your members load these petroleum products from the NNPC, it is only the NNPC that keeps that record? You don't share that record with anybody else?
Well, normally we only know the record of our members in terms of loading. But we don't know the exact record of the petroleum product that is being imported inside the country.
So what would you say when you listen to somebody like the controller of custom, who knows the import figures of everything that comes into this country. When he said that statistics was not correct, what came to your mind?
Well, it's all possible because he is part of the government agencies, and they normally check in and out of all these products. So he and GMD, they should come and stay together and find out what is the exact value. Because it is a shameful thing when you have said you have been doing something with somebody, at the end of the day, he give a different figure, you two, you give a different figure. So from there, if you check, there is something wrong. There is something wrong. So let them check and find the exact figure, because all what I know, any product NNPC say they have imported, the custom must be aware, because they are determinant. At the same time, even if they are thinking for their version, the custom at the borders. Because of that issue of diversion now, some of our marketers are still feeling a pain that 15 kilometer along the border, any petrol station that you know has 15 kilometer along the border, he cannot be able now to discharge product. We fight this thing, but up to now, we cannot be able to win the fight. Because what they are saying, if you carry about 15 kilometers to the border, you are going to carry it outside. And we try to notify them to understand that there are some local government areas just around that 15 kilometers border, and there are people there. But we appeal to our members, let them follow what the government have said, so that they can be able to check whether this product is going out or it's not going out. At the end of the day, the volume that they normally use to show that they have captured along the border is how many numbers of liters. So let them check exactly what NNPC is importing.
Well, some would say maybe there is a bit of a rift between the Nigerian customs and NNPC, which is why we are getting to hear this at this time.
Well, actually, we cannot say anything about that, but all what we know, they work together. So let them find out the exact value. Because they are the only people that knows the product that come to Nigeria. We marketers, we doesn't have access. And before, it's not like that.
What changed?
Actually, we don't know how the system can change, because it's only NNPC is importing this commodity. The marketers, they are on is just to go to the various depot and load. Period.
Looking at other issues in the petroleum subsector, you earlier talked about the need for the refineries to work. We've mentioned Port Harcourt. We understand that the old part of the Port Harcourt refinery would be ready by December, and that alone does about 60 million liters per day, which is what we claim to consume on a daily basis. We understand that Kaduna is under rehabilitation and worry. I think we have two in Port Harcourt. Do you think, even with the rehabilitation of these four, and of course the Dangote refinery, that is enough for us as a country to take care of this petroleum crisis once and for all?
Well, you know, if these three refineries are functioning properly, and plus that Dangote refinery, definitely we doesn't have much issues. Because even if we are going to import, maybe it will be just a minimum figure compared to almost importing almost 95%. Almost 95%. So if these refineries, they are functioning, definitely there will be a lot of differences. And Nigeria will be saving a lot of money that they can be used for the teeming population.
So if eventually these refineries get working, how do we deal with the issue of oil theft and bunkering, as we always hear?
You know, this issue of oil theft and bunkering is all the factor of unemployment. And if these refineries are functioning, a lot of teeming youths will be there working. Because importation is just we are selling our job to another country and be importing. But if we are the people who are refining this product and we distribute it, you will see a lot of youths will have a place to work. It's just like we independent marketers. If you check all our filling stations, we employ a lot of teeming youths. So that one too will reduce a lot of redundancy, whereby you may find if a young graduate, he doesn't have anything to do, he must find a way of survival.
Interesting perspective there from Alhaji Megandi. I understand we are now being joined by our second guest virtually, Alhaji Kelani Muhammad, who is an energy expert. Good morning, Alhaji Kelani. Good morning, Alhaji Kelani, if you can hear me. Okay, we have been looking at the confusion sort of that has been occasioned by the various government agencies claiming to have different figures of our daily consumption of petrol, a figure that the NNPC has continued to insist it's around the region of 68 million liters per day, a figure that determines how much this country spends on subsidy per liter. The question is, do you think there are satisfactory metrics, in arriving that this NNPC uses to arrive at this 68 million liters, upon which this country spend a whopping 4 trillion naira as subsidy per annum? Virtual guest. I'm sure technical people will sort this out, and the moment we have him, we'll have him react to this issue. Alhaji Megandi, one other issue that has affected distribution of petroleum products in Nigeria would be ruptured and damaged pipelines everywhere. I mean, we have a depot in Suleja, we have another in Gombe, and I think one in Maiduguri, and scattered everywhere across the country. But it appears that your members would necessarily have to then use tankers to move fuel from Lagos into the depot and then from the depot to the filling stations. Is all of these operations as it is not adding to the price of fuel per liter in Nigeria?
Really, it's adding to the price, because a person that is supposed to carry product in Maiduguri depot, now he depends to carry product either Port Harcourt or Lagos, and he used truck. So all this thing, when we contributed this amount of money, it added seriously. And just like what you have mentioned, if we look the amount of money we spend on subsidy, for 2 to 3 months, is enough to repair all these ruptured pipes if our refineries are functioning, whereby it can be pushed to the various depots. Because we two marketers, sincerely speaking, we are not happy for this bridging, because it gives us a lot of headache in terms of managing the trucks, in terms of a lot of issues are there. Because by the time when you loaded, let's say 45,000 liters from Lagos, your mind will never be at rest unless if that product reaches your filling station, you discharge. So it's not a small thing. We are not happy. The only thing, there is nothing we can do, because it's part of our business and it's part of humanity to see that we pay our own sacrifice towards to our government. But for carrying product from Lagos or Port Harcourt to come into the northern part, believe me sincerely, it's not easy.
Mm.
There are a lot of wastages and hardship.
Interesting. The last time you were here, we were also looking at, you talked about bridging, we were also looking at the issue of payments to your members, which some of you put in the region of 70 billion that has not been paid. We understand that there were some protests and the government claims that they have made some payment. What's the update as far as that is concerned?
Well, actually, in terms of payments, now the government has started paying.
Okay.
Yes. The paying now is in progress. Because since last week, they have started paying marketers.
Okay.
But the only thing, we are still encouraging them to try and settle the remaining money. But there is an improvement.
Okay.
And
so we don't expect any,
yes,
any protest.
Yes, there will be no any scarcity.
We hope
definitely,
so.
by
We
God's
hope
grace.
so. Well,
interesting.
It's been interesting.
We have been looking at issues that border on the petroleum industry in Nigeria, especially the downstream, especially indeed when it comes to the volume of petroleum products that we consume per day, the conflicting narratives that seem to be coming from different government agencies. The ministry has a different figure, the custom has a different figure, the NNPC, which is the chief marketer, also have a different figure, and it appears that even stakeholders in the industry seem to suggest a different figure. Whatever this figure is, Nigeria is at the receiving end, because it is consequent upon these figures that the so-called fuel subsidy claims are paid, and that leaves us at the receiving end, because the more money we take, to pay these subsidies, the less we have, to attend to other pressing engagements that the country needs to attend to, especially at a time when we are not getting in more money as a result of everything that is happening around the world. And we have had in the studio with us the Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Alhaji Megandi, who has talked us through what they perceive the issues were, what we can do to solve this problem, and what the government can do. So among chiefly the reasons he advanced is the need to fix the Nigerian refinery. Alhaji Megandi, before we let you go, I would like to have your final words on what you think we can do in the shortest possible time to move away from this problem and begin to enjoy the benefit of a product that God has blessed us with.
Well, just like the way they have started paying marketers their transportation bill now is good and fine. Then secondly, even if it's modular refinery, let the government allow the independent petroleum marketers to have an opportunity of establishing this modular refinery. Because immediately when they establish this modular refinery, it will assist in terms of refining this petroleum product. And this oil theft and the rest of them, it will reduce drastically. Because whenever we said people, Nigerian indigenes, they are the owner of these refineries, and they can refine and employ these youths to those refineries, definitely it will reduce seriously.
Well, we do hope that we get to see that happen, as time goes on. Thank you so much for coming on the program, and we hope to have you next time.
Well, thank you very much. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is where we will draw the curtain on today's edition. Fortunately, for technical reasons, we were unable to have Alhaji Kelani Mohammed join us virtually, who is an energy expert. But Trust Television will continue to keep tabs on this development. We hope that someday we will be able to move from this when all the issues bedeviling this sector would have been progressively and proactively resolved by all of the agencies concerned. Until then, we will continue to serve you the best of happenings around the country. And it's been a pleasure for you to have allowed us come into your living room free of charge, I dare say, to have shared this morning with us and all of the exciting packages that we have brought to you. I am Sunday Michael Ogu. Please keep a date with us next.
And I'm Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for staying with us.